are here again with another episode of early releases for 2023 that you should be checking out. They may be going under your radar, you may not be aware of them, but you should be aware of them because they are really good. This is probably going to be the third and final one of this series, given that we are entering April, and I don't really know if we can really justify taking it beyond that. I usually would like to try and do more of these videos, but you know, other things have been getting in the way, other ideas, other videos have been getting in the way. So unfortunately this year I've only given you 3, but still by the end of this video, if you watch the first 2, you're going to have 15 albums that you should be checking out for 2023, and you might not have been aware of them beforehand. So there you go, always providing the goods on this channel. Wanted to mention my boy Vale-Smith to start with his latest album, Yo. Yes. Of course, Vale-Smith has been an artist I've been tracking for a very long time, since the very beginning, and it's been so cool to actually watch an artist grow in real time from the very start of their first releases to this day as well, and to see them be fully independent and slowly growing. Their monthly listeners at the moment are really starting to shoot up, which is fantastic to see, and it's well deserved. Vale-Smith's music has been really good. I've been a big fan of what he's been doing since the start, and this new album is no exception to that as well. He's gone a bit more ambitious with the length this time around. It's well over an hour compared to his other releases. This is quite easily the longest release that he's ever done. And yeah, lots of cool new additions to his sound. His palette is kind of opening up a little bit more. There's still a lot of typical isms that you'd expect from his music, but of course this is his 3rd album in like less than 18 months. So of course you're going to get those similarities between releases because it's been so short since the last few. It's not my favorite of his, I would say, but I still think there's lots to like here. I think the penultimate track really opens your eyes to what this sound of that he's doing could become in the future, because that track was really interesting. It was nothing like I'd really heard anything him do before, although I would say a lot of the other material is generally indebted to what we expect. He's pulling some ideas from Rekindle as well and developing them on tracks like Don't Get Her. New Universe, that had some Pierre Bourne shit on it, and I checked with him in, you know, directly to see if I was right with that, and it turns out yes, there is some Pierre Bourne influence on that one, so that's crazy. Hip hop album when? Trap album when? Hip hop beats, lo-fi chill beats when? When, Vale-Smith? When? But yeah, this is really good stuff. I do really like it. Like I say, it's not my favourite one. I think you feel the length a little bit by the end, and you know, the core of the tracks are still really good though, so like what you're getting is really good. It's just by the end maybe grows slightly too long, just ever so slightly for me, but I still think what he's doing is really good, still worth highlighting. And even if this is the first time you're hearing the name Vale-Smith clicking on this video, well, you can start here, or you could start with any of his other releases as well, and I think you'd have a good time with it, because I think wonky, electronic, EDM fans, all kinds of UK garage fans as well, lots of styles in the electronic genre, who, if you are a fan of those genres, you would like this. I think he's got a lot to offer. Next one I mentioned, Masego. Really quite like this guy. I think he's got a lot of personality. I think he's got a lot to bring to the table in the soul R&B field. There's a bit of Smino in here at times, I would say, as well. Not exactly fully sounding like Smino. I think if it did, I would have given this a separate review and absolutely raved about it, because I really like Smino, especially his most recent album, of course. But yeah, I think there's lots to like about Masego. A bit of Frank Ocean in there as well. Yeah, I like the guy. I think he is trying some interesting things, like the cha-cha slide. The cha-cha slide interpolation on the album, which is like, what? But even still, I think it makes for a fun time. I think what he brings to the table is just really nice, fun vibes in the R&B world. I like his vocals, I like what he brings to the table. It's nothing you've never heard before, but I still think what he's doing is good. I want to mention Weval next. I think this artist is really interesting in the electronic field as well, kind of more in the IDMs type stuff, with some like psychedelic isms coming through as well. There were some really nice tracks in that sense that kind of twisted the sounds a little bit with some of the weird warped vocal samples and things. I thought it was really cool. I thought I was in for quite a treat when I initially press the first track, and right up until the end it keeps on delivering. So yeah, I definitely think this is an album worth your time. A couple of more to mention now. I want to mention xaev, I think is how you would pronounce it. This is a mashup artist that has quite a few albums under their belt at this point, and I haven't heard any of them apart from this one. But wow, was this a bloody good entry to it. There's some really odd and peculiar mashups across this album. You hear waves, you know that song? Wave after wave, wave after wave. You know that one, you know it, you know it, you know it. You remember that summer tune. That gets brought up a few times on this album. You've got the friggin' Ariana Grande mashup that comes through as well. Some really peculiar moments that kind of warp and you know, modulate the original tracks into these huge, massive dubstep sort of bro step tracks that are just absolutely chaotic and mental, to be honest. Like, it's not just mashing two songs together, it's like mashing two songs together, then mashing them up and beating them up, and then just kind of throwing them in this friggin' like blender, and then just mashing up that blender as well and adding another layer of sound on top of it. It was quite a weird mental listen, I will say, but I had a good time with it. This is definitely one of the more interesting mashup albums I think you're going to hear this year. All right, and finally I want to mention Unknown Mortal Orchestra. I think it's pretty clear that this is a recognizable name in the music world, but I cannot help but feel that they are still ridiculously and criminally underrated and overlooked. Like, when you look at other artists in the psych pop field, I've even mentioned them in my Essentials video for psychedelic pop. That's how good I do think they are. But even still, when you think of them as that kind of artist, they still don't get mentioned as much as someone like Tame Impala or King Gizzard or any other artists in that field. And they're fun, they're jammy, they're vibey, they're very laid back and chill. Like, the music is really good. And this album, again, I would say similar to Vale-Smith, runs on just a tad too long for what they're going for. And there's a few instrumental tracks as well that I think probably could have been cut off because they don't really add a great deal to the actual album. But honestly, tracks like Weekend Run are really catchy. The Garden as well is super catchy. Like, there's a lot to like here. I think they could have played it a bit more loose and given us kind of more of like the funk, you know, I think they could have let the funk really shine through a little bit on some of these tracks. They feel a bit muted at times, they're not really letting loose, and I think they could be, but still overall, I enjoyed this. This was a good listen. And again, I just want to mention UMO because someone has to, man. Why is no one talking about them anymore? And that's it from me. That is all of my picks from this last episode of early releases for 2023. Of course, it had to be done, and I had to mention Vale-Smith in a video because, you know, this guy's been really consistent with music, so it had to be brought up in this video as well. And all of the other albums in this video are really worth your time too. Lots of good music here, and hopefully you get something out of it. Please let me know, as always, in the comments what you think I should be listening to and what I should be reviewing next, because there's probably some gems out there that I'm not aware of, and that is not good. That is not good. We don't want that. We want the gems handed to me, and I want to be listening to them because there could be some great music out there that I've not heard yet. But even still, until then, check out these ones. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. Have a good day, and goodbye.